Saddam Hussein was born in 1937 in Tikrit, Iraq, to a poor family. His father disappeared before his birth, leaving his mother to raise him. Growing up in hardship, Saddam's early life was marked by poverty and challenges, shaping his resilience and ambition. In the heart of Tikrit, a boy named Saddam Hussein navigated a world of scarcity and adversity, shaped by the harsh realities of life in 1940s Iraq. Little did he know, his journey would carve an indelible mark on history. Saddam's quest for knowledge and his innate leadership qualities caught the attention of influential circles, leading him to join the burgeoning Ba'ath Party in the late 1950s. The party's ideology of Arab nationalism and socialism resonated deeply within him. His charisma and strategic acumen swiftly propelled him through the party ranks. As Iraq faced political turbulence, Saddam seized the opportunity to ascend, maneuvering through the power corridors with unwavering determination. The culmination of his ascent came in 1979 when Saddam Hussein orchestrated a bold and calculated move, swiftly taking the reins of power in Iraq. From the humble origins of a boy in Tikrit to the pinnacle of Iraq's leadership, Saddam Hussein's rise to power was marked by ambition, cunning, and a relentless pursuit of authority that would shape the fate of a nation and reverberate across the world. 1980, a time of political unrest and territorial disputes. Saddam Hussein, the Iraqi president, launched an invasion into neighboring Iran. The Iran-Iraq War had begun, fueled by territorial ambitions, religious differences, and long-standing tensions. The war lasted for 8 long years, marked by trench warfare, chemical attacks, and relentless fighting. Saddam's ambition for regional dominance drove a relentless campaign, but the war took a heavy toll on both countries. The conflict led to widespread casualties, economic strain, and political turmoil, affecting millions of lives on both sides. International efforts to broker peace were largely futile, as neither side was willing to concede. The war ended in 1988 with a ceasefire, both nations exhausted, but no clear victor emerged. The Iran-Iraq War left scars that ran deep, shaping the geopolitical landscape of the region for years to come. Its legacy, a testament to the devastating impact of war and the human cost of political ambition. In the wake of the Gulf War, the world turned its gaze toward Iraq. Saddam Hussein, the iron-fisted ruler, had led his country into a conflict that left deep scars on its soil and its people. But what followed the war was not just physical wreckage. It was a period of international isolation and severe sanctions that further crippled the nation. The United Nations Security Council responded swiftly to Iraq's actions in Kuwait, passing a series of resolutions aimed at disarming Saddam Hussein's regime and ensuring regional stability. However, Saddam's defiance of these resolutions led to a prolonged period of global isolation for Iraq. The international community imposed comprehensive sanctions on Iraq, aiming to compel compliance with disarmament demands. These sanctions, while targeting the regime, inflicted widespread suffering on ordinary Iraqis. Essential supplies like food, medicine, and basic amenities became scarce, leading to a humanitarian crisis within the country. The impact of these sanctions on the Iraqi population cannot be overstated. The most vulnerable, including children and the elderly, bore the brunt of this isolation. Hospitals struggled with shortages of medical supplies, leading to an increase in preventable diseases and a rise in mortality rates. Despite the mounting pressure and suffering of his people, Saddam Hussein remained defiant. His regime diverted resources, circumvented sanctions, and manipulated humanitarian aid for its benefit, further exacerbating the crisis. Meanwhile, the international community grappled with the ethical implications of sanctions causing civilian suffering. As years passed, debates intensified regarding the effectiveness of these sanctions. While they aimed to disarm Saddam's regime, their impact on innocent civilians raised moral questions. The international community began reassessing its approach, culminating in debates about the ethics of imposing such harsh measures on a population already suffering under an authoritarian ruler. The era of international isolation and sanctions against Saddam Hussein's Iraq remains a contentious chapter in global diplomacy. It stands as a reminder of the complex interplay between geopolitics, humanitarian concerns, and the ethical dilemmas faced by the international community when dealing with rogue regimes. In the early 2000s, the world watched as tensions between Iraq and the United States reached a boiling point. The aftermath of the 9/11 attacks fueled concerns about weapons of mass destruction in the hands of dictators. At the center of it all stood Saddam Hussein, Iraq's infamous leader. His refusal to comply with UN inspections raises grave concerns. We cannot stand by as weapons of mass destruction threaten global stability. As diplomatic efforts faltered, the international community braced for conflict. In March 2003, a coalition led by the United States initiated Operation Iraqi Freedom, aiming to remove Saddam Hussein from power. The initial strikes targeted key locations in Baghdad and across Iraq. Caught in the crossfire, innocent civilians suffered the consequences of war. Saddam Hussein, once the iron-fisted ruler, was now on the run, his regime crumbling around him. After months in hiding, Saddam Hussein was found and apprehended by coalition forces near Tikrit in December 2003. Subsequently, he was put on trial by the Iraqi Special Tribunal for Crimes Against Humanity. Despite a defiant stance, the court found him guilty, and in 2006, Saddam Hussein was executed by hanging. The fall of Saddam Hussein marked the end of an era, leaving behind a nation torn, but with hopes of rebuilding and shaping a new future.